It's time for Mr. Douglas Unger, P.E. What exactly does that mean?
I've been trying to find that
Professional engineer.
Professional engineer? Okay.
It was PE.
Doug, you're on,
That was
buddy.
my favorite subject in school, PE.
P.E. Doug, you're up, buddy. Give us the update.
We're gearing up to, with the advent of funds coming in, we're gearing up to start in full force back at the water plant. Also, our water tank contractor is scheduling to come in to basically set up his overflow pipe, and he'll be done with the exception of the repair of this IM tank that he bumped into as a process of getting that thing constructed. We remain at 86% complete on the project, not including the change orders. To date, we have, with the work performed from a construction standpoint, we've incurred $12,456.55. And that's out of the 14.8 that the overall project. So you can see we're that close to centering in the project. We have some folks with us, and probably the last thing on your agenda today to talk about the bond funding on the project. We originally were looking at, to make all this work, doing some additional value engineering to make our project fit within the budget, but in working with, and you may remember we were looking at 6.7 usable with our bonds. It looks like we're able to go to about 7.4 and still stay within the current rate structure that we have. We have been able to shorten some capitalized interest time and move some money around that's helped us out a good bit. So we really will not have to look at some of the value engineering that we were looking at before. So we can just, when money comes in, we can move forward. And I'm sure that folks will address some of that as we go on. It's their turn to speak. But things look good. Excited about the money coming in, so we can get this thing off and running. We are looking at pumping water at the end of September, even with all the delays. It looks like we'll be able to, by September 30th, being able to move water and start a revenue stream, and also looking at, by the end of the year, of having raw water intake completed. We'll probably another 30 days or so with contract closeout and stuff. Construction should be completed by the end of this year. So, and that's thanks to Mark getting on the phone and calling up people, and letting them know that the money's on its way.
It's amazing.
Is that it?
Yeah. Questions for Doug in regard to this project? Thanks, Doug. Mr. Tysinger, we would prefer your associate, but we'll take you.
Well, you stuck with me.
Jill's much better looking than you are.
Yeah, that's what they tell me.
They sent another one
I
to
don't-
the city meeting last
Yes.
month too.
According to the mayor, I don't need a lot of money this time, so I don't need you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Here's some pictures that were made. These are kind of pictures that were made of progress. It seems like that we are beginning to see the light in the end of the tunnel. There's 2 contracts out. We've started back on contract number 1. The last time we had a meeting on number 1, which is the distribution lines, was June 28th, 11. So it's been almost a year since we had completed that part of the project. They're about 81% complete, in the process now of testing lines. Once they get the lines tested, then we're going back and start the taps. And so there is there is activity going on, and there's going to be a lot of activity here in the next month or so. They have about 90 days, about July, in July to get all the taps in. So they are going to be they're going to be active. The other thing is once they get all that in, then I know Slim and Jack are interested in the fact that then they'll start on the road and get it back in shape. Several roads they have to deal with. As far as contract number 2, which is the water plant and storage, we have just about completed that. Most of the items we have out there are over 90% complete. At this time, we're about 94% complete, and we have completed all our major items, and they're in the process of doing miscellaneous stuff and making sure that all the pumps work and the technologies and the adapters and the controllers and all of that is in operation. So as far as that goes, I think one of the last things we have to do is get the road fixed, and that's about it. We got everything else.
We're substantially complete on this.
Yeah, we're substantially complete. So looks like probably within that 90-day window, then water will be available at the taps for the customers to pay. And then y'all start putting in the water meters.
Is the water
We
being,
will, but I mean, y'all be,
Yeah, you
y'all
can come through,
be supervised.
clear that up.
the testing is done with water from the well?
Yes,
We are pumping water.
yeah, they're pumping water. So, the other thing is, that's a very good water source, and I was in a meeting yesterday. We're doing a new system for Rome Mountain State Park, and they're in the aquifer like we have here. This is a major aquifer we're in, so everything looks pretty good. It looks like that we will be very close to the budget. We're working on that now as far as to see if there's going to be any overages or underages or whatever. Jill is working on that now. I don't think y'all haven't finalized that yet.
One wonderful change order, so to speak, was we were able to go to copper service lines opposed to polyethylene black roll pipe, which I was glad was able to find that in the budget. That will make our life a lot easier and more efficient up there, being that it's 15 miles up the road.
The other thing I think is they did work on some of the road stabilization. I think y'all worked out something on that. So this project's been a kind of a collaboration between the owner, the engineer, and the contractor, and trying to come up with efficient ways to do this and stay within the allotted amount of time and budget we've got. So both contractors have done a good job.
That it?
So,
Anybody have any questions about Fish Springs or for Gary?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make one point, and I shared this with Gary in case you forgot. We have scheduled a meeting, an informational type meeting for the contract customers and prospective customers of Fish Springs to give them all the particulars needed to make this transition as smooth as possible. Scheduled for June the 5th, 2012 at 6:30. I've kind of booked the school through JR, and he seems to think that time will work. If Jason would reflect that in the paper for me, it'd really go a long way. I appreciate it.
what time is it?
6:30.
6:30.
Well, that doesn't particularly mean that everybody needs to be waiting until 6:30 on June the 5th. I mean, there are things that we hope that the customers are going to start to do as far as getting their line with a licensed contractor. And we emphasize a licensed contractor. Running the greenhouse, I can assure you that not everybody can put a pressurized line in the ground. So we hope that after meeting with JR, I think, what did JR say he was going to do?
He said it was going to be somewhat of a community project that we suggest in the type of material and some costs. And he said that they're gonna, as a community, rent a backhoe or buy a backhoe or a ditch witch and kind of do it collectively. So we try to give him as much information and leadership we could to make that process smooth, and that way, when we're ready to go online, we don't have any customers still waiting on their service to be put in.
That's, you know, there's things that they need to be doing or getting ready to do before we turn this whole thing on, and then their lines are not run to their house. So we hope everybody doesn't wait till June the 5th before they start taking some steps to get the water in their homes.
We'll be producing water here about, what, about 30?
We're producing
Yeah,
water.
we're probably, well, I know, but what I mean is, to the customers, it's gonna be around July sometime.
Okay.
They got, the contractor has 90 days from
Christmas is going to come twice for the folks at Little Milton. And this is something everybody's been looking for more than 10 years. Hard to imagine, but it's close. Anything else for Gary? Gary, thank you. We'll do the payment of the bills, and then we'll do the other part. Consideration of payments to Jacobs Inc. for $17,941.68 for that invoice number right there. I guess, Brian, you've approved all these bills, or they wouldn't be on the agenda, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion to pay Jacobs that amount of money?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Brian, would you call the roll, please?
Kurt Alexander,
Aye.
Jeff Chambers, Leon Humphreys,
Aye.
Arden Gentry, Chairman Mills.
Yes. Item B, consideration of payment to TH&T for $62.90 for that number right there. Is there a motion to pay that bill?
Motion,
It's moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Brian, call the roll, please.
Mayor Alexander,
Aye.
Jeff Chambers, Mayor Humphrey,
Aye.
Arden Gentry, Chairman Mills.
Yes. Consideration of payment to TH&P for $2,200 for that invoice number. Is there a motion to do that?
I'll make the motion to do that.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Brian, if you call the roll.
Mayor Alexander,
Aye.
Jeff Chambers, Mayor Humphrey,
Aye.
Arden Gentry,
Aye.
Chairman Mills.
Yes. Consideration of payment to Brown J. McDaniel for $1487.13 for that invoice 35678. I assume that's something to do with the audit, or
Yes, sir.
is there a motion to pay that bill?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Brian, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mayor Alexander,
Aye.
Jeff Chambers, Mayor Humphrey,
Aye.
Arden Gentry,
Aye.
Chairman Mills.
Yes. I'm going to move that we defer this last one to the next. Do you want us to consider this?
My ex-wife will be here to pick.
We want Mr. Mills, you want to take this?
I don't want to deal with Kim. I can deal with you. Kim's tougher than you are.
Take this next.
Consideration of paying the old curmudgeon $7,512 for invoice number 144935.
I'll make that motion.
It's moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All in, Brian, go ahead.
Mayor Alexander,
Pass.
Aye.
Jeff Chambers, Mayor Humphrey,
Aye.
Arden Gentry,
Aye.
Chairman Mills.
Yes. Item 8, consideration to approve bond resolution authorizing the issuance of an $8,200,000 waterworks system revenue bond. So I guess this is where we introduce Keener or Jeff or whatever, and you folks walk us through us and tell us what we need to do.
I've got the document itself that has been distributed to Tom and others, and I'll tell you roughly what it says, and then Keener can talk about what really matters, but
That
money
might be
behind it.
best.
The resolution authorizes, and this is in keeping with what we've been talking about now since 2010. It authorizes the issuance of up to $8.5 million of bonds to complete the treatment plant. The bonds will be payable out to sort of 2042, and it dictates the details of the bonds. It dictates that revenues are going to be pledged to the payment of these bonds. They're going to be collected and turned over to a trustee every month. They'll provide for payment, and then whole lot of words to say just about that.
How is that handled, Jeff? I mean, how is that actual collection and the transfer of funds?
Yeah, what you guys will do is, you got a revenue fund, right? And so money will come in, as payments are made to a revenue fund, and then once a month, you'll pay that month's installment of the debt service on these bonds, to a trustee who will hold that money, and then every 6 months, apply that to the payment of debt service. Right now, you've got an SRF loan that you're paying, and you're just paying that monthly. I suspect they just draw it, automatic draw it.
We cut checks.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you cut a check for that, you're gonna do the same thing.
Okay.
And that's an important point to make. The state has agreed back in December that this debt could be issued sort of on a shared lien, same lien as that SRF loan. So you've got two, along with the city's contribution, you've got the capital payments made by others, you've got the SRF loan proceeds, and you've got this debt all coming in, and this will complete things. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
You have to establish accounts, several accounts on these bonds, and you get those, and then we put the money in those accounts for those purposes.
So you work this out with Brian and as to what you need as far as the accounts?
That's exactly right. And let me mention, Tom mentions one other account that we ought to talk about. Within this $8.5 million, you talked about I forget how you described it, the need.
Right. We originally went from 6.7 with the cost delays and everything else, so we're really at 7.4, but our rates are the same.
So a big portion of that extra money is going into a debt service reserve fund. It'll also be held by the trustee. That's going to equal roughly 1 year's debt service on the bonds. And that's for the purpose of letting bondholders know if there's a tough patch along the way. There's money to pay.
And
Until
that's the
things.
same thing's done on the SRF loans and every.
That's reasonable.
You've got a security deposit, which is very similar on the SRF loan. That money is yours, and so the investment earnings are yours. They count as revenues. And so when you hear the bond number, understand that, I don't know, Keener can tell you exactly how much, but that much is going to be set aside, your money, to further secure this fund.
The bond agreement sets all that out specifically.
Yes.
And I've been through the whole thing. And we've been back and forth, looking at it and talking about it.
Any
This
questions?
is basically what Jeff does all the time. He's not a whiplash lawyer like I am, so they know what they're doing.
I hope.
It's fun to me.
I'm big fun at a party.
It's fun. It's fun for me to see these guys at work, because they really know what they're doing.
Looks like you can get a little wordy sometimes. It may be wrong. There's a lot of stuff there to comprehend, but that's why I like a guy that's sharp. You can break it all down and give us the high points. Any questions?
It's all required. I mean, it's
I have
hard to
no doubt.
believe this, but really it is all required, because it's all.
After the length of time that we've been batting this back and forth and around, and I would imagine that at this point, every I, every T, every nuance has been covered and digested, and this is the final product.
And let me say too, let me talk about from what this will do and what will happen from here on out. This resolution is the last action that this board has to take as a board. The resolution delegates to you, the chairman, to get the rest of it done. And what the rest of it is getting an offering document out to bondholders that Tom's marking up right now. And then it's actually seeing the terms, the interest rates and the prices for the bonds that Keener can talk about, and then it's having a closing. And so this board won't have to meet again to approve anything else. This sets in motion all of those steps, so long as what ultimately gets done is within the parameters laid out in this resolution.
There's no way we can get outside these parameters, right?
No,
We
you
follow
can't
the
go higher.
directions.
You can't go higher than a maximum par amount. You can't go higher than a maximum interest rate, and you can't go longer than 30 years.
So all the terms are set down, we just have to live within
That's right.
this, right?
That's right.
This is it.
And then as a practical matter, when when Keeners comes and says, hey, here's what it looks like, then you also get to look at that and say, hey, does that match does that match what we've been looking at in terms of, you know, rate coverage? And so, yeah, all that's got to fit.
Okay. And that's part of your,
That's what I've been doing, and something the Kenners want to talk about. They will have a group basically looking at the entire financing, I think.
That's this outfit here that the next thing on the agenda, we're gonna add to the agenda.
other questions for Jeff? I think we get it. Thanks for your effort, man. We appreciate you driving up to help us today.
Happy to do it.
Thank you.
Mine kind of
Yeah.
flows into that. I was going to give kind of a little update
Yes, sir.
in light of what Jeff is laid out and what you're signing there. One of the things Doug had mentioned that because of the amount of time that's passed and the cost overruns, we're going to need a little more than $8.5 million, but we're going to sell $8.5 million in bonds. And how we do that is that, especially in this low interest rate environment, bond investors are more geared toward income, and they're willing to pay more than 100 cents on the dollar for bonds to get a higher coupon, so we can produce the extra amount. But when we sell these bonds, it's issuing up to $8.5 million. We'll generate some extra premium that will allow us to do everything that we need to do. Out of that, we're going to fund the roughly $7.4 million that Doug speaks of. We're going to fund a debt service reserve fund. I'm speaking in round numbers because until we actually set it, we won't know, but right now that's going to be around $700,000. What we're also doing is, and Jeff spoke about trustee keeping funds, there'll also be another fund which will be your capitalized interest. So one of the things we're doing is we're borrowing 1 year's worth of interest payments so that we won't have any mismatches with water plant getting online, revenues coming in. You know, and bond investors will know that the first year's interest will be paid. And so we won't start paying principal back for a few years, but you'll at least have that portion covered while you're generating revenue so that there won't be any hiccups right out the gate. After passing the resolution, what he's going, well, we'll do that in a second too, but I'll explain that. But what he was going over right here is the preliminary official statement, which is like a prospectus for the stock. We'll use that. That takes information that Asbury has provided, saying that it complies with both state law and federal law to the issuance of bonds and their tax exemption. We will take that first to the rating agency. Our next step after this, once that is completed and it's in fairly good shape, we'll go to the rating agency to seek a rating. I'm not sure they'll need a site visit. That's an outside possibility. But what that'll entail is they will review that, and in other information that we give them, they will provide a list of questions back that will be the talking points of the call they're going to have. And then we'll schedule a call, and that it will be good to have Brian and Doug, but maybe some of the board as well. It shouldn't take probably more than 30 minutes to an hour, but they like to discuss projects, what's going on in the economy, and kick the tires, so to speak, with management. That will then result in us getting a rating. The rating will really kind of determine where your interest rates falls in. Fortunately, it's taken a while to get this project done, but the sort of good luck in all of it is interest rates are at or near their real lows, so that will definitely help. Our timing right now, and some of this timing are out of our hands, especially the rating agency, but our timing would have us being finished here shortly with the official statement, getting everybody's comments, sending that out, and then getting in line with the rating agency and hopefully having the rating agency portion of it and get the rating back by the end of the month, and that would put us pricing in early June with hopefully mid-June close and funding. We will one of the things that Jeff had said was that this is your last action as a board on this. In that document, it authorizes just the president or the president, the chairman once we price the bonds, we will then have a bond purchase agreement that the chairman will sign, and then we will have the day before the money transfers, we'll come back and have final document signatures before the money transfers. Whatever day that is, we'll do it the day before that.
Okay.
But all that being said, we're on our way and hopefully pretty close to the finish line.
I didn't think I'd ever hear that. Sounds good.
And I guess another thing I'd like for the board to consider here, one of the things that in putting together this official statement that we're sending out, official statements for entities that have been around a lot longer, that have a history, are a little bit easier. And so, just to put the best foot forward, we'd like to try to have everything that is pro forma in nature, taking a guess as to how things will come out. I'd like to have that second guess. And although Doug, there's nobody that's put any more work into this project than Doug, we're suggesting that we have an outside rate consultant go back and review Doug's work on the rates to make sure that it appears right and appears to work to the best of the knowledge of a second party. That's helpful in giving bond investors and the rating agencies comfort that there's an outside second set of eyes looking at it, and it's no offense at all to Doug, but just gives us a second set of eyes. It's an outfit out of Montgomery, Alabama that does a lot of the rate studies here in Tennessee, does a lot of the Knoxville area, Knox Chapman and First Utility District does their rate studies, and so I brought with them their engagement letter. They're not very expensive, and will allow us and give us a comfort letter to go in the official statement, and their cost, which I think they have in there, estimated to be between $6,200 and $6,800, to be included within the bond proceeds and be paid out of the bond deal. So if y'all could consider taking that up as well.
Yeah, and this is what you talked to me about.
It's exactly what I'm talking, and I welcome somebody going through and making sure that this thing is right before the final deal. And it sounds good to me.
It's worth pointing out, Keener sort of, these guys are not hired to reinvent the wheel. It's a review. It's a review, and so it ought to be. I think it'll be.
I don't have any problem at all with the second set of eyes to look at this and make sure everything's on. I think that's probably prudent.
And the way it's set it up is the board is hiring them. This is not being done for us on behalf. It's being done for y'all and for the benefit of y'all. So.
Tom, you want to add anything to that? That's it, right?
No, but we
This
need
is
to
what we
make a motion to add this to the agenda. We just need a motion to add this engagement letter to Jackson Thornton Utilities to the agenda.
At a cost not to exceed $6,200, $6,800.
You just add to the agenda first, and then you
Okay.
accept the engagement letter.
We get a motion to add this particular piece of.
I'll make the motion to add the documents to the agenda. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Let's see. Okay, we just need a motion to put it on the agenda right now.
Yeah.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, it's unanimous. Now we're going to approve.
You got an engagement letter here from Jackson Thornton Utilities to do a review of the rate structure for this bond issue under date of May the 7th, 2012, which we need to have a motion to accept that. The cost of this is estimated between $6,250 and $6,800.
Not to exceed that amount without checking with us on that. I guess we need to put that in the motion, and we'll call the roll and vote on it. Is that the way to do it?
Just go ahead and make a motion.
Can someone make the motion of what Tom just said? And then
I'll make a motion.
Kurt seconded.
Second.
Okay, Brian, call the roll and let's
Yeah.
address this.
Yeah.
Mayor Alexander,
Aye.
Jeff Chambers, Mayor Humphrey,
Aye.
Arden Gentry, Chairman Mills.